The first thing we try to deal with when we talk to customers about technology is we want to have a discussion with them about what's affecting them, what's going on outside the walls of your business that you have no control over, that you're wrestling with, that perhaps we can help you with. You don't have to look too far to understand that, or to understand or see what the global economy could possibly have from an effect on your business, what global terrorism could mean to your business, what hunger. These are things that you can't predict. Compliance changes all the time. It's being enhanced, security things changing. Mobility devices are coming onto the network quicker than we can keep up with them. So how do you deal with those things? How are you dealing with those things as customers? And why are you dealing with them? What's your competition up to? How are you going to stay relevant or ahead of your competitor in the space that you play in? Then the journey moves inside the business, and these are some fairly common business objectives that most customers deal with. How am I going to grow profitably? Where am I going to invest? How am I going to take care of my customers? How am I measuring my customer experience in terms that are relevant to the customer, not me? As technology companies, sometimes we fall victim to thinking we've thought up the latest whiz-bang piece of technology. We have a problem, we've got it, we're running around looking for something to fix. But if you listen to your customers, they're going to tell you what their issues are if you spend the time to understand it. And then you can better align yourself with how you can help them with your technologies. One of the things that are most important to any business is customer acquisition. How do you get customers? It's the single most expensive investment and the most important investment you'll make as a business. It's time intensive, it's resource intensive. How are you doing with that? Because if you can understand how they're going after customers, you can understand how better to augment their technology solution. Is it a mobility solution? Is it a more enhanced multi-channel contact center? You can't really make those decisions about what those things are until you understand the customer. If we look at the market that we're talking about here today, it's a fairly significant market. The typical or the traditional business around IP telephony and unified communications is about nearly a $20 billion business over the next few years. Cloud is coming on board very quickly. Customers are looking at ways strategically, how do I leverage the cloud to do different things in my business, to reach customers differently, to provide business agility. Contact center, within the context of how businesses talk to their customers, how they interact with their customers, how they measure their success, that's growing at a very significant rate. And you can see it's about a $5 billion market around the world where people are investing or going to invest in these technologies. Inside Mitel, for the last 2 years, that's been one of the fastest growing applications that we sell as part of an integrated solution offering. The last 2 years consecutively, it's grown over 20% year over year because customers like us and like yourselves know I need to invest in these technologies to better take care of my customers. Here's some statistics that are relevant to all of us in this room today. You can see that nearly 85% of CIOs are saving money by going to the cloud. They're not going to invest in big server farms or leveraging the cloud because they're going to rent that compute power. It's quicker for them to deploy applications. It makes more sense for them to leverage the cloud for this. 80% of CIOs that are getting their technology delivered through a private cloud. That's what's making up these investments. So my point to all this, to this so far, is it's not really up to Mitel to go and figure out cloud, private, public, hybrid, all these different ways to deploy. It's our job to pay attention to what's happening in the space out there where customers are building and growing their businesses and make sure we've got the right pieces of technology to deliver to them and let them consume it in the way that makes the most sense for them. It's not up to us to dictate that. We need to work with customers on it. So what's driving the decisions that we make as a technology company? What drives what we do when we interact with customers? These are the things that are driving it. Cloud delivery. Cloud has made it through what Gartner refers to as the hype cycle. You know, we've been marketed the cloud in some way, shape, form, or fashion, a number of ways in different times over the last few decades. But today, cloud is very much a real thing today because we have the capability to actually consume these over highly available, robust networks today that are fairly pervasive. So it makes more sense to deploy this way. It's more cost effective, it's quicker. Over the top, third-party PBX is something that's very interesting. A lot of folks today, customers will make decisions based on a particular business need, such as contact center, and they want to consume that from the cloud. They don't want to forklift or forego their existing investment. They just know, hey, I need to strategically invest here, and they will add that solution on top of that PBX. It used to be the other way around. It used to be that the PBX drove everything else. They'd buy a PBX and they'd send in a contact center and off you go. That's not the case today. It's a little bit reversed. Multi-channel interaction around contact centers is something that's changed dramatically. You heard it mentioned both by Jonathan and Richard. Customers today, you know, they want to interact with us a number of ways, whether it's through text, whether it's through instant messaging, whether it's through video on the web. We have to figure out ways to bring those into the business and measure them properly so that businesses can make the right investments properly. Do I need more people dealing with incoming instant messaging and chats? Do I need more people dealing with, you know, voice calls? These are things you just have to sit down and understand with businesses. For years, this industry talked about unified communications. You see this, you see that, unified communications. I can ring multiple devices. You can use whatever you want. Well, who cares? The real value of unified communications is putting the information into the hands of the individual that needs it in order to make a more informed business decision. That's what unified communications is all about, regardless of the device you happen to be using, regardless of the location you happen to be sitting or standing. You really need that information so you can get real-time information and drive up your customer satisfaction, improve your customer experience, which all translates to bottom line and drives profitable growth. Here's just some interesting information that we're seeing. I thought I would share this with you, just what we're seeing in the market today and the adoption rate of cloud. So TDM is time division multiplexing. Wow, that sounds fancy. Want to know how many customers know what that means? Probably about 0. But what this is represents the legacy environment. Key systems, little small systems, 6x8, digital phones, things like that, characterized by about 25 users and below. Well, it used to be that they would take this old journey. They would go, well, I've got this old system. Now I'll go buy a voice over IP system, and then maybe I'll start to leverage the cloud. Well, what's happening is these small businesses are just going straight to the cloud. I don't have an IT shop. I just need a basic set of communications to run my business. I want to pay for X dollars a month per user. Off I go. There are over in North America, in the US, there are over 100 cloud service providers in this space today and growing. Now, that's going to consolidate over the next few years because the market just can't sustain 100 different partners out there today. Mitel's in that business as well. And we do it through partners like Britannic and others around the world. We have about 80 service providers globally using a powered by Mitel solution to drive UC from the cloud. What do you have to do to be relevant in this space today with your customers? Well, you have to have a smartphone-like experience, and it has to be that easy for customers to use technology. If it takes them more than a minute to figure something out, they're never going to pick it up again. So unless you have a very targeted approach, you understand what's relevant to your customers, and you give it to them in a way that they want to consume it, you're wasting your time. Because they want it to work the same on their iPhone as it does on their desktop or on their iPad. I can get my calls, I can make my calls, I can see who's available, I can get my messaging. It's all on the device of my choice, the location that I choose. At Mitel, we have gone to great lengths to simplify our product portfolio. We had at one point, I don't know how many products, of which you guys cared nothing about. MCD, ACD, DVD, TV, UCA, MCA. There's one statistic that I can guarantee you is true, and the statistic comes out at 100%. And that is equal to the amount a customer cares about our problem. 0. Right? What they care about are their problems. So we've taken our product portfolio and rationalized it down into really 3 categories. And that's our My Voice, which is everything you would need to run the infrastructure for your unified communications. My Collab, which is an advanced collaboration suite of products, which pulls all of that stuff together: instant messaging, desktop video sharing, mobility integration, teleworking, all of these things. And My Contact Center. But before we talk about any of this to a customer, we figure out how we're going to be able to help them. Which one of these things are going to make the most sense for them, and then figure out, does it make sense for you to deploy this on premise, or does it make sense for you to put it in the cloud? Or do you want to choose a hybrid architecture? Customers will help you with that. Some customers might not be ready to go to the cloud yet, for whatever reason. Well, with Mitel, when you invest in this solution and deploy it on your premise today and decide to go to the cloud 6 months or a year or 2 years from now, you take all that software and you move to the cloud without stranding $1 single of investment. That is a very comforting fact for companies to know. I'm investing in a solution or an architecture that I'm not going to have to overhaul in 2 years and do this all over again. And you continue to build and build and build on that technology. So you can deliver, through partners like Britannic, a global unified communication system, whether it's basic or advanced, it doesn't matter. You can have it deployed on your premise. You can subscribe to it as a cloud-based service. It's your choice. Pulling this stuff together, at the end of the day here, this is what we do. We deliver you a world-class unified communication solution that fits your business. It's not up to us to dictate to you what business applications and software you're going to use. You're going to choose Microsoft or Google or Salesforce, or you're going to play on top of VMware based on what your criteria is. It's our job to make sure we integrate properly with those applications to give you the advantage and investment protection that you need for the investments that you're making in your communications infrastructure, as well as helping you succeed with your customers. Drive profitable growth, increase your customer experience. It was mentioned earlier about Microsoft Lync. They claim about a $1 billion business right now in Lync. That's probably true. But it's largely around instant messaging and presence. Lync comes with, depending on the Office suite of products that you buy, it comes bundled in there. And it's a fine product. It sits on everybody's desk, or at least most people's desk. They know how to use it. But when it comes to delivering world-class contact center solutions, or an integrated mobility strategy, or an advanced remote teleworking environment, that's not where Microsoft is great. So rather than compete with Microsoft, we give you a Microsoft Lync, connect the Mitel solution into that Microsoft environment, and add value to it. Let people use what they're comfortable with. They're comfortable with Microsoft Lync. Terrific. But just enable that with Mitel Voice in the back of it, or Mitel's Contact Center. At the end of all this, one size does not fit all. There's a lot of technologies out there growing. There's a lot of things happening out there, and it's moving at a rapid pace. But one thing is for certain. The marketplace is going to remain competitive. You're going to have to keep up with your customers. And in order for companies like Britannic and Mitel to help you, we got to get in there, roll up our sleeves, and figure out how best to do that. And we've got the world's best unified communications and collaboration solution to help you do that. So with that, I'd just like to tell you about a little bit about Mitel that you don't know. We're in 100 countries around the world today, and growing. There are over 10 million people using Mitel devices out there around this wonderful planet we have, and growing. 300,000 cloud users, and that's from ground zero. We started 16 months ago with that solution. And that's growing quite rapidly from a customer choice perspective. Thank you again for your time. I certainly enjoyed it. I'll be around here for most of the day today. If there's anything I can help you with, I'll be happy to. Thank you very much.